Welcome to another edition of the Octopus Store Hangout. I'm Peter, and today with me is Jordan and Keith from Black Hawk Up.
Hey.
Welcome, Keith,
How's it going?
to your first Hangout. It's always nice to have the enemy's opinion, although this year I guess we're not really enemies. Unless you meet in the Cup Finals, then we are.
I've seen a lot of people predicting that.
I would definitely not be against it. It'd be a nice way to get back at you for last year and knocking us out in Game 7.
That was a pretty sweet win.
Okay, let's jump into the moves the Red Wings made today, or well, yesterday once this comes out, and it's that they've sent Cory Emmerton and Petr Mrazek to Grand Rapids today, activated Jonas Gustavsson, and then called up Glendening. Jordan, how do you kind of feel about these moves today?
I mean, they had to do something. They haven't played a complete game so far in 4 games, and the effort last night was pretty bad. So I think that you got to get some new guys in there and see if you can jumpstart this thing, because they haven't played well lately. So I like the move to give Glendening a chance. Why not? I think it's a good switch.
Do you think Emmerton can get over his struggles he's had in the preseason and the beginning of this regular season while he's in Grand Rapids, or is he just kind of done?
I don't think he's done. I think he can, but I don't think it helped his confidence either that they put him on waivers. If he was struggling before that, that certainly probably took him down another notch. So, and now he's down in Grand Rapids. So I think he's probably struggling with some confidence issues, because he obviously thinks that the team maybe doesn't believe in him because they see him as a bit expendable. So I don't know. I would like to think that he can.
Yeah, especially going into the confidence of players. Keith, how much do you think that confidence really affects the way that they play on the ice?
I think confidence is huge for younger players. I mean, your stars, I don't think confidence is that big a factor, but when you get the young guys in their first couple of years, confidence is a huge deal, I believe.
Yeah, I'm right with that. And if Glendening comes up and he plays well, I think Cory Emmerton might just be out of a job, and it might be Luke Glendening's to win. And based on how he played in the preseason and how I saw him in training camp, Glendening certainly has all the tools to take this job away from Cory Emmerton and make it his. And that'd be a huge step for a guy who was a camp invite, signed with Grand Rapids, went to this ECHL and the Toledo Walleyes for half the season last year, jumped up with Grand Rapids halfway through the season, and ended up winning, helping the Griffins win the Calder Cup, and now he's getting his chance in Detroit. And the Red Wings love this kid. I mean, it's a huge step for him, and I think he has a ton of confidence right now in himself, where Cory Emmerton might not have much, if any. But how do you feel about Gustavsson coming back? Is he ready to take over that backup spot? Is he too injury prone? You know, what's going on there?
I don't know. I mean, I was all on his train saying that he was gonna be back and turn things around, and then before I could even get through that sentence, he was on the IR again. So it seems like it's always something with this guy. I don't know. I really hope he gets it together, because they need him to. If he doesn't get it together, I think the Red Wings are in a bit of trouble, because now with this being an Olympic year, they're playing a lot of games. Howard could potentially be playing in the Olympics. They need a backup goaltender to play some games and to be reliable. So they really need Gustavsson to be that guy.
Keith, I know you guys have had your backup issues in Chicago. How much does the backup affect the starting goaltender, and how the team rides him throughout the season?
I mean, look at last year. Ray Emery was great backup. He went like 15, 16, and 1. No one's expecting that out of Kobby Bullen this year, but we'll see tonight. He's getting the start against the good Islanders team. We'll see what kind of start he has for the season, which should be a big factor for Crawford, because Crawford goes through his struggles here and there, and you always need that backup to come in and shut down a team when you need them.
Yeah, I completely forgot that Emery was the better goalie, and better's a relative term, but put up better numbers than Crawford during the regular season. But yeah, he was phenomenal last year.
It would have been interesting.
Oh, sorry to cut off. Go ahead.
I said it would have been interesting if Emery hadn't got hurt right before the end of the season, who they would have played in the playoffs. But I guess it worked out in the end, having Crawford play the whole time.
I was just going to ask you if you knew if Kobby Bullen has stayed out of prison this offseason.
Yeah, I think he's good so far.
Okay, good.
Oh, goodness. Let's move right from that to the first impressions of this first week of hockey for our teams. Let's start with the Blackhawks and then move to the Red Wings, just to get you out of the way.
Yeah, they've had a rough start. Their penalty kill, which was their strength last year, has been a killer so far. I think they've given up 5 goals shorthand. With the man advantage. They've really struggled. They got new guys. Michael Frolik's now in Winnipeg, and now they're trying out this young kid, Joachim Nordstrom, and Kruger's kind of struggled. So that's been tough. Washington scored 3 on them opening night, but they still came back to win. But Tampa scored 1 to tie up the game and take it in the shootout, and St. Louis scored the other night. I think it's just time for getting the feel of all the role players, how they're going to fit in right now. But there's so much talent on the team that they shouldn't have any problems getting back to the top of the Central Division.
Yeah, the Central Division is much weaker now that Detroit's not there, and you don't have to contend with us all the time.
Yeah. All because Detroit left.
Exactly, Jordan, how do you think the season has gone so far for the Red Wings?
Not well. I think they're lucky to be where they are right now with 2 wins. They beat a bad Buffalo team that I don't think has won a game so far. They squeaked that one out, and then they pulled the Carolina game out of their you-know-what. They should have lost that game. And then the effort against Phoenix was terrible. It hasn't been a good start. They're lucky to have 2 wins right now.
Yeah, I completely agree. This is a team that could be 3-1 right now or 1-3 right now, and the 1-3 is probably closer to how they've played. Heck, they could probably be 0-4 right now, and I would not disagree with that because of how they've played throughout the year. They played well against Buffalo. That's probably their only game that they actually played a full game well. But even against them, they weren't able to get the breaks that they usually get. They had a goal called back. I mean, and then against Carolina, they didn't play well until the last 2 minutes of the game and then overtime. I mean, that's not how you win games. You can't. You have to play a full game. You have to, and then they got just destroyed in Boston. It wasn't a game. It was really embarrassing. Even though Boston's a very good team, you can't. That can't happen. And then against Phoenix, it happened again after 4 days off. And I really don't know how to look at this Red Wings team right now, but they do have a lot of talent on their team. And as long as they can get their role players to kind of get back into the swing of things and become a bit more physical and hustle harder, the season could definitely turn around right now. and completely change course.
Yeah, I think the power play is a big issue right now. They kind of go through the years. They have really kind of gone as their power play has gone, and their power play for the last year or two it has not been good. And now through 4 games, they don't have a power play goal. It's not a winning recipe. Special teams is really, really important, and so they need to figure it out quick on the power play.
Yeah, and as Keith even said, the Blackhawks are struggling a bit on their special teams, and that's how Tampa Bay kind of snuck a game out of them, and the Blues snuck a game out of them. So special teams is definitely a huge part of the game, whether it's penalty kill or power play. And even though when the Blues scored those 2 goals right on the power play, I think Chicago spent 34 seconds on the power play against the Blues and just notched those 2 goals.
Yeah, it wasn't very long. What do you guys think of Abdicator going on to the second line?
I don't even know right now. The way they could be practicing this way today and then going back to the normal lineup for the game. I know Babcock wants to shuffle the lines a little bit, and maybe because we're not scoring. That's the problem. We can't put the puck in the net. We're not scoring, and he's trying to do anything he can to try and get some goals. So whatever he does, hopefully it works out well. And if it doesn't, he'll probably go back to the other lineup that he's had the whole season and kind of stick with that.
Yeah, I think the applicator thing says more about everybody else than it does about Abdicator. I think he's been one of the few forwards with Stats Zetterberg that have performed pretty well through the first 4 games, but he's trying to get somebody else going with him because the number 1 line's been pretty good, and that's about it.
Yeah, and the third line's been consistently outplayed every game, and that can't happen. You can't have your third line being outplayed like they were the past 4 games, and then even in the face-off dot against the Coyotes, the Red Wings got destroyed. When you're only winning 30, I think the Red Wings won 30% of their face-offs, maybe less. I mean, how are you supposed to sustain any offense if you can't win a face-off in the zone, or how are you supposed to get them out of the zone if you can't win a face-off in your zone? Okay, I think that's all we're going to talk about that then. Let's take a little bit of a look at the West, since it's still kind of our conference. We're not too far removed from it. How's the West doing right now, Keith?
A couple surprises. You got Colorado hasn't lost yet, and I think they've only given up 3 goals. So what a change that just a coach has in an organization, even though he acts like a fool sometimes. And then St. Louis has played good all year. That game against Chicago was really good, and they pulled it out. But they won another game 7-0, I believe. I think they beat the Panthers 7-0. They're playing really good hockey right now. And who's the other surprise? Calgary's 2-0-2, which is kind of surprising. Everyone had them playing like Buffalo 0-4-1. So a lot of young teams with a lot of surprises.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest surprises with Calgary right now is with Sean Monahan, who is the draft pick I think it's this year?
Yeah. I think he was 5th.
And he has 3 goals or something like that, and he has 5 points in the past 4 games, and you don't really expect that kind of production right away from a draft pick.
The other thing I think is everyone always picks San Jose to win, and again they come out of the gates flying, and then they got this Hurdle guy scoring goals between his legs, and Thornton making crazy comments. So at least they're a fun story this year, I guess.
Yeah, I almost want Joe Thornton. I don't like him, but I almost want him to score 4 goals now, just to see if he'll actually do what he said he would.
I don't think anyone wants to see that.
Oh, that's probably true, but it'd make a very hilarious video.
Yeah, it would be fun just to see him get 3 in a night and see what happens to social media. It'd probably go nuts.
uh, let's move on to our predictions for the next couple games for our team. The Red Wings play the Flyers Saturday, and then Bruins on Monday, and then they head to I think it's I think they go to Columbus to play. I'm not positive. And then against the 4-0 Avalanche. How do you kind of feel the Red Wings are they gonna turn things around in these next 4 games, or is it just gonna be more of the same? And what do you think the score's gonna be?
Who you asking?
I think they're going to turn it around. I mean, they're Babcock always breaks it up into 10-game segments. So I think the next 4 are they're really big games. So I mean, it starts Saturday night with Philadelphia, and I expect the Red Wings will be a lot better on Saturday night. They can't be much worse, so they're going to be better.
Yeah, I agree. What do you? Are they gonna go 4-0? Are they gonna go 1-3? How do you think they're gonna perform?
I'd say like 3-1 over the next 4 would be my guess.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a. See, I think the one they're gonna lose is against the Avalanche, just because of the speed that team has right now, and all the young guys, and how Varlamov is playing at net right now, which is spectacular. I don't think anyone really expected that out of him.
Where's that game at?
I couldn't tell you. I believe it's in Colorado. But hold on, let me check one real quick here. Yeah, it's in Colorado. They're home against the Flyers, in Boston against Boston, home against the Blue Jackets, and then away in Colorado. So that'll be an interesting game. We're in Waz's house, where he tries to knock down the stanchion between the benches.
Their schedule doesn't get any easier, that's for sure.
No, it definitely doesn't, especially going back to Boston to play the Bruins in their house after they beat us up 4-1 pretty easily. I think that'll be a statement game for the Red Wings on Monday, especially since it's a 1 o'clock game, which is weird for a Monday.
Columbus Day special or something?
I think so, but it'll be
it's Thanksgiving weekend here in Canada. I don't know if that has anything to do with it.
Maybe, who knows? I don't know.
Monday's a holiday in Canada.
Yeah. But I think that'll be a big statement game for the Red Wings over these next 4 games, is going into Boston and trying to come out of there with a win, where the last game they played against them didn't fare too well. Let's jump into the Blackhawks for the next 4 games. Sabres, Hurricanes, Blues, and Leafs. How do you feel the Blackhawks are going to play against those 4 teams?
I think the Sabres, if that isn't a win, then there's something really wrong. They've only scored 5 goals in 5 games. That's pretty bad. I mean, granted you could catch a hot Ryan Miller, but that should be a win. Toronto will be like a big game for them, just having Dave Bolin back, playing against him again. As much as he wasn't like a superstar, he was a fan favorite, and I see that being not an emotional game, but a pretty good game. I believe they play the Blues again this week, and that should be another good game. That was really of all the games I've watched, the first two are really kind of lackluster, but the Blues game had almost a playoff feel, so that should be a pretty good game, especially the way that game ended the other night with them scoring with 20 seconds left.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. The Sabres game should be a pretty easy one. If they aren't able to pull that one off, either something crazy happened, and or Brian Miller decided to stand on his head for an entire game and will the team to a victory, because it'll be a 1-0 victory because the team really cannot score.
Yeah. So we
Uh,
should hopefully we get 6 points out of that at least.
Yeah, that's certainly a very good possibility. And the weird thing about David Bolland with the Leafs is I thought he's been playing pretty outstanding with the Leafs. I think he has 2 or 3 goals so far, and they're not bad. They're pretty high quality goals and clutch moment goals, which I guess he's kind of known for right now in Chicago.
Well, yeah, that even goes back to, because David Bolland played for the London Knights, my hometown team, and he was known as that kind of player back in London. So he's always been a really, when the chips are down, he always seems to find a way to chip in. That's kind of been his MO for a while now.
Yep, so Keith's calling 6 points for the Blackhawks over the next 4 games. I think I'm calling 6 points for the Red Wings. And Jordan, how many points are you calling?
Same thing.
So we're all going with 6. Oh, goodness. Yeah. 3 6s. Hopefully that isn't a bad omen for either team.
Someone needs a change.
I know, right? Okay, let's go into the final question, which is, which NHL player do you despise most? And it can't be a Red Wing or a Blackhawk. Keith, you want to start us off?
Rafi Torres, that guy's a punk. I can't stand that dude.
That is a great one. I'm not sure many people really enjoy the way he plays hockey. I think he can be a bit reckless at times. Jordan?
Well, before Thornton's comments, I was never a big fan, but he turned me around a bit. So I kind of like him more now. He was up on the list. I don't know. Hossa, he's on Chicago, so he doesn't count, I guess. I don't know. Sid, I guess.
So you're going with the easy
Sid's
Crosby.
always struck me as he's always complaining to the referee. Yeah, I don't know. When Canada won the Olympics in 2010, when it went to overtime, I was just saying, like, Canada, I hope they win, but anybody but Sid scores, and then, of course, he had to score. So, I don't know. It's the obvious one, but I'm not a Crosby guy.
Yeah, the funny part is I have a bunch of family in Canada, and they're talking about it and how he was not very good in the Olympics. And one of my cousin's buddies said, he's going to score the game-winning goal, and everyone's going to lift him up like he was a hero, even though he was not very good. And then that's exactly what happened.
No, and he wasn't in the gold medal game. That was about the only time I noticed him.
Yeah. I guess it's my turn to come up with one, and I should have been spending this time thinking about it, but I wasn't. So, I think I'm gonna have to go East since we're in the East now. Joe Thornton, even with his comments, I still don't really like him. I think, even though it'd be weird to do this now, I think it's gonna be Bruner, just because of the whole him thinking he was worth more, spurring the Red Wings offer, and then sitting around for a bunch of weeks. Even though I'm happy that he signed, it's one of the reasons I don't like Fedorov. He kind of spurred the Red Wings offer back then, and he signed with the Hurricanes. The Red Wings had to match the offer. I just don't really enjoy players who do that, especially when they sign for either the same amount or less somewhere else. Just seems
Did the
greedy to me.
did the Red Wings ever offer him a contract,
Yeah.
like a dollar amount?
Yeah, I think it was the same dollar amount. Did he sign for 3 years with Devils? Or two?
I'm not sure.
Neither am I. But they wanted him for 2.75 per year for 3 years, and he said no. He wanted $4 million a year.
No one took that.
Exactly. So I think he'll be my pick. Even though I don't really dislike him, I just don't like his business practices, and maybe it's his agent's fault, but you're only as good as your agent when it comes to that sort of stuff. So, any last comments from you guys?
Go Hawks.
Don't worry, everyone. We'll bleep that out when it comes out. Jordan, anything from you?
No, I got nothing this week.
Wow, you're just no fun at all. Okay, I guess that's the end for it. Thanks for watching this edition of the Actor Store Hangout. And thank you, Keith, for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And thank you, Jordan, for joining us as well, even though you are mandated to join us from time to time. Okay, everyone, have a good day, and let's go Red Wings, and hopefully you can beat the Flyers.